Good to start with a laugh. Welcome to your daily dose. I'm Robert. That's Susan. Wait, that's Susan. No, that's Susan. There we go. I don't know. She's here somewhere. Susan, tonight I mentioned to you doing something. It's funny. I don't know if you had this experience. You make a plan and then you forgot you made a plan, and then the plan comes. You're like, oh yeah, I'm doing that. This is one of those
All
nights,
the time.
and
Yes.
it's very apropos to yes and exercise. I'm going to see who's live anyway, which is the Who's Line cast, including one of my favorite all-time players, Ryan Stiles. And I've seen him before at a Who's Line taping years ago down in LA, and now we're seeing him tonight in a little theater here, and I am extraordinarily excited about this.
And it's a surprise. You're saying you kind of surprise yourself because you forgot.
It's the gift of forgetting.
It is for
Surprise!
sure, absolutely. And I
Today's the
love that.
day.
I've been thinking about you because you don't get to be on this side. You're teaching all the time. And
Yeah.
I hope they'll call people up out of the audience. I hope you'll have a chance to play.
So I'm already having anxiety about that exact thing. I actually, because I do this already, I play out scenes all the time in my head. Part of me would be thrilled to play with these guys, right? Absolutely. And then part of me would just be terrified by the fact, say, what do you do? And I go, I teach improv to people with Parkinson's, because they'd just be like, what? I'd be like the worst person, because they want someone who comes up there and says, I'm an accountant, or I'm a garbage person, or I'm a teacher.
You can
But
tell if you're getting a PhD at the age of
yeah,
50.
I mean, it would be they'd have fun with me, that's for
Oh,
sure.
they take you to task
Yeah,
on that.
yeah. So whatever. What I don't do, because, and this is interesting, this harkens back to years ago when I was a very early student. I don't make it about me. I remember very well there was this guy in an early class when we go to see Comedy Sports back when I was a fanboy. Before I became part owner of a Comedy Sports.
Yes.
Um,
Okay.
in LA, and he was a guy who was a nice enough guy when you hung out with him, but the minute he'd get into a scene, he would have Carl voice. His name was Carl. He'd be talking to me, say, "How you doing, Carl?" I say, "I'm fine." But in a scene, you say, "How you doing, Carl?" I'd be like, "I'm fine." And it's like, oh no, every scene and every character was that. He would be this guy.
Exhausting. Oh my
And
God.
it's so painful because you see someone trying so hard. And I'm going to flatly admit vulnerably, I've been that guy. Absolutely. The super trying to please on stage, somebody look at me laugh. It takes a lot of work to relax that.
Well, that's probably why you start off making sure no jokes is part of the understanding that your new students need to get on board with right off the bat.
Yeah. And a related story to that I'll tell is that years later, because, I'd say probably 15 years later, I was taking, another improv class with Second City, one of the great schools I went to, the Las Vegas version of it. And there was at level 5 where we had all advanced, as a group, and we're feeling really good about ourselves. A student who had repeated from a course before, who all of us knew about, and just no one wanted this guy in the class because he was that type of guy. He was Mr. Joke about everything and inappropriate. And, so I knew once he was in the class, I said, here's my thing. I'm going to love this guy. I'm going to show him that I love him. And I just made every effort. Every time he would talk, yes, and everything with super overt whatever. And by about the second or third class, you could see him kind of checking me out. He could see what I was doing was different. I wasn't putting him off. I wasn't trying to joke with him. I was yes anding positively, kindly with him. And we became friends. And, he talked about being accepted. And it was like,
That's just a wonderful story.
yeah,
That's just
what
wonderful.
it opened me up to the possibilities, honestly, of what improv can do. Because I said, here's a person who was just wearing a mask, and it was a mask I recognized,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so
It's the technique that you employed is the same technique in the dance of anger that we were talking about before.
do that,
Interesting.
bring that back.
Sure. It's the simply that if you say something that triggers me,
Mhm.
and then I say the thing that I've always said all through the years, it's going to trigger you right back.
Yeah.
But if you say something that triggers me and I say, yeah, yes, I hear that you think it's difficult for you when I play with my hair. And then you'll make some snide remark about, whatever. And I'd say, yeah, I, I hear you. I understand that bugs you when I play with my hair.
Speaking
Or,
of
and
Doc
then
right now.
eventually you can no longer continue saying the same thing at a certain point because I'm not fighting back.
That's right.
I'm yes anding what you've said, and it's really cool to hear that that worked for you in an improv class setting.
Yeah, and last bit here, just I'll go as quickly as I can, that it reminds me of the foundation of improv. All this works so well, right? It's yes and the other one, I always go with, which is mirroring, which you beautifully put into this the other day. I was watching a Key and Peele sketch the other day, whom I love, and the very funny setup was it was Jordan Peele, who in real life doesn't know his dad, meeting his dad for the first time, who's played by Keegan Michael Key, and he's kind of a down on his luck guy in some Florida trailer park, and he goes to visit him, and welcomes Jordan in. Jordan saying, "I think you're my dad," and welcomes him in, and he's like, "All right, come on in." And he goes, "Kid, I'm not your dad. There's no way." And Jordan presents some evidence, this, that, and the other. Nope, sorry, never can be. I know what you want, this, that, and the other. Nope, not going to happen. And Jordan says, "Well, I was just thinking about it while I was on my TV show the other day." And he goes, "You got a TV show?"
Right, all of a sudden there.
And so Jordan had been doing like when he was telling him it's not your dad, he was like doing this, and Jordan goes, "Oh, I'm doing the same thing. Look at, like, they were mirroring." And
Right,
now
right.
once Keegan recognized his son had a TV show, he started mirroring back in ridiculous ways. And so you see this great high level comedy played at a foundational level. They're just playing the mirror game with a certain tilt to it, and it's like, that's all you have to do. You got a real problem, a son who wants to meet his father, truth in comedy, right? And now you see the behavior that makes it hysterical. So see you later, folks. That's your daily dose.